kind of talk about some of the turbo stuff. So we'll call this Turbo Talk with Amy.
Turbo Talk with Amy.
Hey everyone, it's Dan at SPE Motorsport. On today's product spotlight, we're going to be going over our Emperor turbo kits, the non-VGT kits that we sell, their modularity and their design, and also some new product releases that are adding on to the Emperor line. So one of the things we did want to touch on is the fact that we do have a video already on our YouTube channel of the Emperor kit, but we're actually going to kind of touch on some more of the design-based things that we kind of never talked about before. So we're going to touch on those. We're going to touch on some of the key design points. We're going to also kind of go over the lineage of the 6.7 Powerstroke and kind of where our names and terminology come from. So the 6.7 platform, as most people know, is called the Scorpion, and the whole idea behind why they called it that was because they were a reverse flow cylinder head. So the exhaust actually exited in the valley, obviously. So that gave the engine kind of like an arc look, and that's why they ran the Scorpion. So we've been kind of tying that name, obviously, through our turbo kit stuff and some of the other products that we built. So before we kind of dive in up close to some of this stuff, I'm going to go over why we made this kit the way we did and some of the downfalls of some of the things on the market, some other of our competitors, and the way their designs are and what we changed. So the biggest thing with non-VGT, and everyone knows this, is the fact that they are a little lazier than, say, a VGT turbo. So the big thing that you have to take into account with that is you want to be able to get a lot of heat to the turbo, and you also want to be able to get a lot of exhaust flow, obviously. So a short distance and good heat transfer is a really, really good thing to take into account. So when we did the non-VGT setup, and we did the design for the Emperor kit, that was one of the things that we really wanted to touch on. So other kits, you know, the turbo would mount in the valley, and you'd have these really long up pipes that wrap up and around. Even some of our first designs back in the day, that's how we would do it. We would fabricate a really long up pipe setup, and we'd feed into a T4 flange that actually faced up. So you're adding a lot of length to the turbo piping, the up pipes, and it's kind of counterproductive in the terminology of the way turbos function, you know, and actually the way that this engine's designed. So if you look here, you can kind of see the way that the up pipe comes down around, in the way I just described how a lot of the aftermarket T4 kits kind of come up and over. Well, that's one of the things that we changed with our Emperor kit. So we'll go over that here in a second. So all that being said, heat and volume were a big thing. And we also did what I like to call exhaust pulse optimization. So we also took into account the firing order of the engine and how every pulse is fired on all 8 cylinders, so that all the pulses are driving the turbo well. So our distances, kind of similar to like an equal length exhaust manifold or a header. So that was another thing that we changed and did and took into account as well. So as an overview, we're going to finish going over this Emperor kit. We're going to go over our compound kit that's called the Death Stalker, that is an add-on to the Emperor kit, which, as I said, is basically a modular design. So when we say that, we mean that we can sell you a product that you can build off of. So if you run our Emperor kit, our non-VGT kit, you can actually add this compound kit later, And the other cool thing about the Emperor kit is you can actually bolt it in with a factory upper intake manifold, the factory lower cast manifold, all that works. So you don't have to run a piping kit. You can, but you don't have to run an intake piping kit. And that's another key feature to this as well. So we're going to talk about death stalker or compound kit, and then we also are adding to the Emperor Turbo line our driver's side replacement manifolds. So the 11 to 19 replacement manifolds, they will work with a factory replacement. They'll work with a factory turbo system. They'll work factory flange. It's all in the same place. So it is a replacement manifold, but it takes the design of the Emperor kit, the round manifold design, and actually ties it all together. So if you already have an Emperor kit, you can add the driver's side. You gain flow. There's about a 20% increase in volume and flow. It's thicker, and all of our manifolds are made out of a 600 series ductile iron, which is a lot better than a standard cast iron you're going to find on the standard manifolds that come with the truck. So they're a lot thicker. They're also have more volume. They're made out of a better material. It's just a win-win. We're also debuting the 20 plus Emperor kits. So currently we have the 11 to 19 Emperor kit. So 11 to 19 non-VGT kit. Now we developed a 20 plus Emperor kit, which the differences in that are the bolt pattern, the exhaust bolt pattern on the cylinder heads for the 20 plus truck. So just to run a scenario past you and how this kind of works is obviously if you have a 20 plus truck and you want to go non-VGT, this kit will allow you to do that. The other benefit of the 20 plus kit is, let's say you have an older truck and you blow the engine up, or you make modifications to it and you end up running a set of 20 plus cylinder heads or a 20 plus long block. This non-VGT kit will bolt right up and you can have that in an older style truck. So once again, T4 flange, just like the earlier kits. All that stuff's the same. All the hardware is included and everything exactly the same way. So what we're gonna do now is kind of go over some of the close-up shots of the Emperor kit and some of the compound stuff and kind of get a little more in depth with this. All right, guys, so we're gonna go over the Emperor manifolds here. We'll start here. So as I said before, the 20 plus, we do have the 20 plus design out now with the proper bolt pattern. There are obviously changes for the 20 plus other than the bolt pattern, but they are still T4, same concept, same design. The 20 plus driver's side manifold is also available now, and it's obviously the same design. Everything's, the design features are carrying through kind of on everything. They're just changing for the 20 plus bolt pattern. So that's that. So let's go over some of the key design features of the Emperor kit itself. So if you're familiar with the factory turbocharger, the factory VGT setup, it mounts in the valley and it has this exact up pipe that comes down and feeds the bottom of the turbo. This is a factory up pipe. And then you'll have another up pipe that comes and feeds the top of the factory turbo. So being the concepts that we just talked about of volume and heat, we wanted to actually make that better because we didn't have VGT. We had non-VGT, so we have a set geometry of the turbo. So being that we wanted to also make it spool as well as we could, we want to keep the heat as close to the turbo as possible. So what we ended up doing is on the passenger side manifold that you get in the Emperor kit, it's a T4 flange, everything's mounted to one side. And then we created a leg on this so that the other bank could feed the T4 manifold via a factory up pipe. So on this is a 15 plus. On the 11 to 19 kit, it uses a 15 plus up pipe for the driver's side. Now this is a factory up pipe. It connects right to this manifold. So this manifold, the driver's side manifold, is optional. But what this all does is it actually makes the up pipes, the configuration of all this, shorter than the factory. So you actually have less up pipe length and less distance to the turbo than the factory setup. So we're taking the whole ideology of the Scorpion engine and actually making it better, in my opinion. So we're trying to, get all that heat and that volume to it as fast as possible, and this is the best way to go about doing it. So the other cool thing is, let's say you have a failure. Let's say you put this kit on your truck and a bellow fails or something like that. This up pipe is available from Ford. So if you need to do a replacement, you can actually just purchase a replacement up pipe from the dealership. There's nothing custom about the up pipe. So those are all design features that we feel are extremely positive, especially when you're going into an aftermarket turbo setup. If you have a problem, you want to be able to fix your truck. And being that these are ductile iron, they're 600 series cast iron, they're better than factory. These manifolds, we do have a lifetime warranty on them. So if these manifolds crack or you have an issue with it, we replace it. If it warps real bad, then it has a problem, we replace it. We've literally, after having these out for the Emperor kit, having them out since I think 2020, I believe. Could be wrong on that, but they've been out for many years. Lots of testing. The original casting is actually still on our test truck, and it's been extremely abused. We've had 0 failures. There's no cracks. We've had no cracks, no warping, nothing. So these are lifetime warranty. If they crack, we cover it. So I don't think anyone else in the industry does that. So moving forward, just so that there's an understanding of kind of the design, that was what we wanted to achieve. We wanted to give the best possible option and a non-VGT form that we could. So as I said, the 20 kit goes together the same exact way. The concept's exactly the same. The difference on the 20 kit is it actually uses the 20 plus driver's side up pipe. So that is another difference between the two. Factory gaskets, we do give you hardware with the manifolds. We don't use the factory stainless studs. They're very problematic. They break. They have a lot of issues. Some of the other kits on the market still use them. They're trash. We give you a grade 12.9 Allen. Proper lengths. You pull the studs out, run the Allens. We've had no issues. We actually run the same exact bolt setup on our dragster, our diesel dragster, our 6.7 Powerstroke dragster, and we've ran 170 pounds of back pressure through these things and have had 0 issues. So lots of testing. So moving down the line, you kind of understand the concept of the manifolds now and why we think they're so great. All right, guys, now that we kind of went over the design of the Emperor manifolds, we're going to move down to the rest of the parts of the kit. Obviously, if you're removing the VGT turbo out of the valley, you're going to have to block off the valley, and we give you a plate to do so. We do give you a lot of options with it. We use the oil feed out of the valley, and there's also a coolant feed, which will get plugged for all of our stuff. So that's that. This is the oil drain hole, which we include the fittings and everything for that. It's a slip-in fitting. It's easy to install. It pushes right in. It's double O-ring. And then we have a form-fit drain hose. Very simple, super easy to put on. The rest of the hardware, clamps, adapters, they're all included in the kit. And as I said, this kit it's a bolt-on kit. So there's no cutting, there's no crazy stuff that you have to do, and it fits with a factory cast lower intake and the plastic upper. So now let's talk about some of the turbocharger options that we have in the Emperor kit. So we have S300 base turbos. They're T4, obviously. We do a completely different cover. We do a lot of modifications to them, but they are S300 based, and they have S300 compatibility as far as the housings and all that stuff goes. So they are offered journal and ball bearing. The ball bearing stuff, they're completely different than the journal bearing. Obviously, we have a ball bearing center cartridge in it, ceramic. They're German-made bearings, super stout. They do help with spool quite a bit, and we've had them out for many years now, and great reliability. They're awesome turbos. So the one thing that we do different than most S300s that people sell or S300 base turbos is we do clip the turbine differently, and that is all taken into account for the 6.7. So we ran different turbines and different castings, and we ended up using an SXE style, and we do a different clip on them. So it helps with exhaust back pressure, it helps with spooling, it works really, really well. So that pretty much covers the Emperor kit. So we're going to kind of move on to what we're excited to move on to today for the debut of it, and what a lot of people have been waiting for is our Death Stalker, which is another type of Scorpion compound kit. So as we talked about the modularity stuff, this bolts on top of the Emperor. So this does not work with the factory VGT. It's not designed to work with the factory VGT. It is a add-on to the Emperor kit. So we include the bracket. It's a really nice powder-coated setup. The turbo mounts to it. This is a turbo mount that we sell in our Motorsport Fab line of products. It's a universal turbo mount. Obviously, we use it in fabrication for the 6.7. The couplers, everything's included just as it is in the Emperor kit. But we can look over here at the compound stuff. So on the Death Stalker, obviously you're getting the intermediate pipe, the down pipe assembly. It gets you all the way down under the truck. And being that there's so many different exhausts, we just get it down under the truck, and from there it's up to the customer. So it does clear dual fuelers. It clears our dual fueler, as you can see. We have different options on these turbos as well. We do a 76 and an 80 mil inlet, and then we have 96 turbine. They're all 96 turbine. Journal or a ball bearing. Ball bearing definitely spools quicker. We have a test vehicle with a 63 mil and a 76, and that truck literally drives better than a VGT truck. It's more responsive. It will make 900 plus horsepower. You can tow with it. It makes great drivability. Great drivability. So the one thing that's nice about our turbo setup for the compounds is we have a housing specifically set up for this. So it's a V-band inlet and a V-band outlet, and it allows us to keep the housing compact with the big 96 millimeter turbine. So it's an S400 frame, obviously, with a big 96 mil turbine. So it's really hard to package in the manner that we're packaging it, because on our kits, you don't have to ditch the battery or go to a smaller battery. Our setups are designed to work with a full-size battery. On the 17 and up trucks, you will need to move it, but you are able to retain it. So that was kind of a key feature that we wanted to have on this kit, was the fact that you did not have to do that. So it's packaged nice, it's tight, nothing rubs. It's a really nice, clean setup. And as I said, we have a 76 and an 80 mil atmospheric S400 based turbo in journal and ball bearing. The 7663 is, as I said, it drives better than stock. Now the 8070 setup is great for making big power. So, I mean, you're talking, that's a turbo setup that we're looking at making well beyond 1,000 horsepower fuel only, and still retaining great drivability, great characteristics, and yeah, as I said, great setup. All right, guys, I'm gonna do a little recap, obviously, on what we talked about. The one thing I did want to add is, obviously, if you're doing the Death Stalker or the compound kit, you're gonna need a piping kit. You're gonna need an intercooler. That stuff that's just gonna kind of come with that. Once you get to this level and you start talking 60, 70, 80 pounds of boost, that stuff's kind of necessary. So obviously we have a couple different turbo options for the S300 and the S400, but we're gonna kind of talk about some common questions and some things that that need to be kind of talked about for some of the turbo stuff that we've ran into over the years, and we just kind of want to get out there and put it on a video so you guys have something to kind of reference even. We'll bring Amy on here. So as everybody knows, Amy is my wife, and Amy handles pretty much everything here other than designing and testing parts. So we're gonna kind of talk about some of the turbo stuff. So we'll call this turbo talk with Amy. So,
all right.
But she knows, with you being with Chance talking to Chance all the time and Kyle all the time, and we obviously deal with any of the issues and stuff that come up because these are manufactured items. So they're not perfectly reliable. It's impossible to do. There are manufacturing defects, and there are things that we stand behind. So I think that's kind of why we wanted to discuss some of this stuff and kind of give the customers like a warm, fuzzy feeling so they know where we stand on our stuff.
So one of the things that we want to mention is within the last 6-ish months, we've started working with a company called Extend, and we can offer extended warranties now. Our primary warranty for these is 30 days, and we felt like 30 days was fair for somebody if they had an initial issue to find it.
So in the essence of that, the way turbos are kind of designed and assembled and their clearances and tolerances, they're similar to an engine in that manner, to where if there was something that was put together incorrectly or bearings messed up or something's too tight, something like that, being that these can spin 60,000 RPMs, 80,000 RPMs, you're going to see it pretty much right away. So if it's a manufacturing defect, you're going to see it almost instantly. And at that point, we 100% cover it. So as long as you had oil run into it and it doesn't show up when we look at it and it's dry, as long as there was oil going to it and everything looks fine in that fact, we 100% cover it if it's a manufacturing.
Right, but at checkout, you have the option of adding Extend. It gives you 1 year, 2 year, 3 years. And that's a pretty easy process if you do have an issue, that it would get taken care of. Additionally, with that, we've created a way to be able to send in turbos through a turbo warranty process with a whole paper to gather as much information so that it doesn't do anything on our end. It helps you with as much information that you need to be able to properly
if the guys are going through it and they're looking at a warranty claim, it's easy to know, like, okay, you know kind of the issue that you were having, what happened, and it gives us something to kind of look at and make sure we're not overlooking something, and that you get the best service as well.
Right. And to add to that too, even if it wasn't a turbo issue, we could say, here's why we think you had a problem, and here's what you really need to be looking at. Yes, your turbo failed, but it failed because of this reason.
Right.
So that was something.
Yeah, that's a solid point to bring up.
Added.
Right. And really, in this, the cost for the warranty just to cover that is so minimal compared to what you pay for this stuff. So it's a pretty cool thing to have.
Right. Another question about turbos that I know we get asked a lot is what size? Like, what size should I go with and why?
Right. So the easiest way to explain it to people, at least in my mind, there's a lot more information on our website. If you're looking at this product, there's a lot of turbo breakdown stuff that you can check out that probably answer most of your questions if they're very specific. But the easiest way to explain it is the higher a number is with a turbo, the slower it is. So, they'll make more power because it's bigger, but the higher you go on the inlet size, if you're running, say, a 63, which we can obviously go over that real quick. These are the Emperor turbos are available in the 63, the 66, and the 70. And those are available in journal or ball bearing. So ball bearing always spools quicker. It's just the nature of the beast. Now, journal, depending on the situation, can be just as reliable. Spools still really well, but ball bearing is king when it comes to spool. But anyway, inlet size-wise, 63 versus 66 versus the 70. The 70 is always going to be laggier. Now, when I say laggier, it's not hugely noticeable. You're talking maybe 100, maybe 200 RPMs difference from where the turbo is going to hit versus like a 63. But the main thing that I always like to tell people and want the customer to think about is, what is your overall goal with the truck or the vehicle? So if it doesn't matter whether you're putting this in a dragster or a pickup truck. What is your goal? You know, so if all you're doing is towing with the truck and you just want a turbo that's just dead nuts reliable, a 63 is going to do everything that you need it to do. But if you're trying to put, say, a bigger CP4 on the truck and you want to run you still want to run a single turbo, but you want to push the pump to the max, a 66 or a 70 is going to give you a better outcome, you know, power-wise. So those are all things to kind of consider, but the bigger you go, the slower it spins. That's kind of the easiest way to look at it.
I don't think the 70 is very laggy.
Oh, no. I mean, and that's the
It's
thing
my
too.
opinion, yeah.
I mean, so obviously we own every vehicle that we make products for, as we say in many videos. Amy drives this stuff as well. So it's
And
not.
I'm picky. I'm really picky.
Yeah, I mean, she's not going to be one like most of your wives, or if you're a female buying this, you may not care about how to get a turbo up and boost. So you may just pull out and put your foot halfway down and expect it to be there.
I know not to when I do it.
Right. So that's a very good point there. So, and back to the beginning thing that we were talking about in the design of the exhaust manifolds and how all of this functions, that's all stuff that we take into account. You know, I want to be able to throw her the keys and say, hey, go to the grocery store, pick something up, and not worry about her pulling out in front of something and not being able to get out of the way, or smoking somebody out, or, you know, doing something like that. So drivability is a huge thing for us, not just in, you know, a performance aspect, but reliability, you know, performance, suspension, all that stuff. It's all a big thing for us. So, what other things do you think we should kind of touch on?
So the sound of the ball bearing, I think, is important because we get that kind of question a lot, like it sounds weird.
Yes. So the ball bearing, well, that sound that you're talking about, you are not going to really notice in the cab when the truck's
No, I know, but
Or
some
driving
people notice
or
it
anything.
and
But
mention it. And
when-
they're worried.
When you do shut the truck down, it's kind of, think of it kind of like a skateboard wheel or a rollerblade wheel or something like that. It's a very similar construction bearing. So they look very similar. It's a ball bearing with a cage, an outer cage, and an inner cage. So if you take a skateboard and you just pick it up off the ground and you spin that wheel, that sound that it makes, that's literally the sound that's happening. That's the sound that's happening inside your turbo. So it's the same bearing. It's going to make noise. That's what they
It's
do.
not going bad.
Right. It's not that it's not on the way out. It's not going bad. It's not an issue. When a ball bearing charger fails, they fail usually pretty catastrophically. So, and it's very quick. So that they are inherently a little noisy, but it's not when you're driving. It's when you shut the truck off and it's spooling down. You may hear it at the tailpipe, or you may hear it if you have the hood up. Not a big deal. And with the truck running, you don't hear it.
I just know we kind of get that.
Right. Yeah. Well, and the thing is most of the people who are putting these kits on, you guys are in tune with your vehicle. You know, you're mechanically inclined. The shop is mechanically inclined that may be working on your vehicle. They're gonna pay attention. They're gonna pay attention to those things. You know, so that's something that's a very good thing to bring up and talk about. So, but yeah, not a big deal. We even have videos that if you're curious of what that sound is, we have videos that we can send you so that you can hear it.
Yeah, you can verify that your sound's the same.
Yeah.
The only other thing that I was thinking while you were kind of going over some of this stuff is why do we call it the book lung? It's kind of a weird name.
For what? The
For an intercooler. It's a weird name.
Yeah, so it's interesting. But as I said earlier in the video about the whole Scorpion thing, oddly enough, when we were doing development on the intercooler, which, not to go off on a tangent, I always recommend upgrading your intercooler. Doesn't even have to be ours, but get away from the factory style, because the brazed layered fin setup, once you start going up in boost pressure, they want to press apart or push apart, and if they fracture, they dump coolant into the motor. It's a mess. It's not good.
Let me interrupt you. When do you want them to upgrade? Because you're saying get away from it, but win.
Right. If you're going to go non-VGT, I would recommend it.
Okay. So if you're getting
if you're going with an Emperor, you're doing especially if you're doing the compound stuff. Yeah, you definitely want to get VGT stuff. You can get away with it.
So if you're doing an Emperor, it's a good idea to at least plan to do that soon.
Absolutely.
But if you're doing a Death Stalker, you really need to
buy
it at the same time.
Yes, you're going to need to buy it. Okay. So anyway, back to our design of the intercooler, our billet intercooler, which if you go to our YouTube stuff, we can even put a link in the description. But you can check out our intercooler and kind of its design. But when we were actually working on that intercooler, we tried many different cores. And when I say cores, I mean the actual cooling element that goes inside the intercooler. The core that we ended up using kind of looks like a book lung, and the book lung is actually the respiratory system of a scorpion. So it kind of just all fell into place. So we immediately went with that name because we're like, man, it kind of looks like this, and it's what a scorpion basically uses to breathe. So it made sense. Air transfers through it, it's kind of a cool thing. But the core itself kind of looks like that. So shoot it fit.
Right. Sometimes it's interesting coming up with things for these things.
Yeah, it is. It is, but they at least made it easy for us with the code name.
Right.
So we covered the warranty stuff. Is there anything else that you guys run into, like power level wise, stuff like that? Or?
So can you recommend, I guess, some combinations so that it's just easy for somebody to reference? And then, I mean, of course, call us if you have any questions. Call Facebook, get in touch with us. But
absolutely,
what combinations would you recommend at
Actually,
certain power levels?
On that point that you just made, if you're going to spend this kind of money, please call us. For the amount of time that we can save you, the amount of money we can save you, we don't want you double spending. We want, if you're going to spend your money, we want you to make a smart choice, a good investment. So give us a call. If you're looking at doing this kit and you're even slightly unsure of something, give us a ring. Our salesman will be more than happy to help you with it. They get something out of it, you get something out of it, you save money, it all works for everything. But anyway, back to what you were saying.
Well, yeah, because everybody wants to feel like they already know going into a phone call what they're asking for.
Right,
so
right.
Give them some knowledge, I guess, to start the conversation.
On a base Emperor kit, if you're just going to be running it as a single, tow a lot. And when I say tow a lot, I mean you're towing pretty heavy. 63. I mean, if you're not doing pumps and stuff like that, stick with the smaller charger because it's going to respond quicker. The 66 is by far the best all around. If you're trying to make a little bit more power than say just a hot tune, or something like that, the 66 is, in my opinion, probably the best all around.
It's like the king.
Yes, the 70 is great for overall power, but that's also something you're going to want to run a modified pump and maybe
GVP a little more.
Right, and it's obviously going to run a little hotter when you're towing, things like that. Now, as far as the sorry about the machines in the background too.
We're running stuff. We're making book lungs.
We actually are right now. But we make our own parts. So obviously, the only thing we don't do in-house is cats, but we do finish machines. But in terms of power stuff for the compounds, in terms of the compounds, you can pretty much go with any size you want. But obviously, if you stick with a little bit smaller, they do spool a little bit better. The 6376, I have it on hour 19. Man, does it drive.
I was just going to say that. I was going to tell you.
It's
not that anybody cares what my opinion is, but I really like driving the 19. That thing drives really, really good.
I mean, in my opinion, it drives better than a BGT truck. So even if you were just shooting for even 750, 800 horsepower number, you weren't even trying to go crazy, you just wanted something that could make a decent amount more power, this is a great option because not only can you make that power, but it drives better than that. They're not withheld as much. It's the easiest way for me to explain it. They're not held back. You know, you ease out of the pedal and you don't have that holdback that a VGT has. Which for towing, that may not always be the best thing. You know, you may want to add an exhaust brake or something like that if you were going that route. But with the tow haul feature on these trucks, I mean, they do pretty well. So.
Let me put you on the spot.
Okay.
Are you developing, or will we ever develop the passenger side stop replacement? Like, say they don't like this.
Oh, you're saying for the VGT?
Yes. For like a strike kit or like a...
Well, why don't we have them comment? I mean, that's something we can even, you know, maybe do a Facebook, maybe we can do a podcast thing on that.
I mean,
and ask the customers. But yes, I would not be opposed to that.
Okay.
For the VGT stuff, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Absolutely. In my opinion, the perfect truck for me right now is definitely with the compact. I mean, you can tow with it. It makes great power. I mean, hell, the 19 is even still on a single pump. Stock fuel injectors, 55 over pump, and that truck is it's just an animal.
Do you recommend a built engine?
The 17 plus stuff, it's not as big of a deal.
Okay.
Being that it is a non-VGT compact kit, it's not as critical, but obviously as you go up in power, cylinder pressure goes up. Cylinder pressure is what bends rods. So if you have an earlier truck, you're going to be flirting with that. I would recommend a built engine, which we just started up our engine program again. So we are doing those again. Yeah, 11 to 16, absolutely. 17 and up, being that they have better rods in them. They're a little heavier duty. They deal with it a lot better. Once again, we're testing that right now in 19. So far, so good. But we're also under 1,000 horse.
Right.
So it's all going to kind of depend on the power level thing. You know, that's why we want you to call. You know,
Yeah.
Call in, give us your information, explain to us what you're trying to do. We'll help you the absolute best that we can. And like I said, yes, we want you to buy our parts, but we don't want you to buy more than you need. I mean, we want to sell you what you need, and we want to accomplish your goals.
Right.
So,
We want to take the time with you to talk.
yeah,
So,
because honestly, it's kind of cool. The more that we talk to people, the more that we figure out what you guys want. It also helps us develop more products. So it's a win-win for everybody. Really.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. We know it's a longer one. Some things that I would love to ask of you is in the comments, tell us what things you'd like to see from us, whether it's merchandise, new parts.
Yeah.
If you think that there's something that we can improve upon. We've worked really hard these last few years to really transform our team, bring on people that we felt we needed to, overspend on overspend on space
Yes.
that we didn't think we needed, and that we're starting to we're rapidly filling up.
Right.
We did a lot of searching
Yeah.
to figure out where our shortcomings are.
And we've put so much back into the business just to try to make all of this stuff better. I mean, I understand, the stuff that we make, it costs money, but we can't make every single part in-house. So like when we do a casting like this, we have huge amounts of money that we invest in tooling and things of that nature. And, being that we're so into what we do, you guys giving us good feedback and you guys helping us in the directions we go, it definitely, it's a big part of our company.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we're obviously extremely passionate about what we do, and we obviously want to provide you guys with the best products that we can, and products that you guys want and use.
Right.
So,
we would love to get some feedback there, and any events you want to see us at. We really enjoyed being able to showcase our stuff and talk to the customers out there. So
we're gonna have to start plugging the Outlaw Diesel Super Series finals, the drag racing stuff. We have to start plugging that. We're actually holding locally. We're holding the last race or the finals of the year. So we're pretty excited.
The Outlaw Super Series.
Pretty excited about that. Yeah, we're gonna have kind of our impromptu open house stuff.
Yeah, so we'd like to see some of you guys there.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think we pretty much covered most of this. We know turbos are a big part of diesel trucks and diesel engines in general. So we kind of wanted this video to showcase something that especially I've worked really hard on trying to give the market something that's not there, you know, and give the best possible thing.
And not having double buy.
Right.
By not just buying
because
Emperor, and then now you have to buy something completely different.
Because this kit was built with the compounds in mind. Yes, it took a couple years to get ironed out and developed, but being that we developed the turbocharger and changed things in the atmospheric turbo just for this kit, and a lot of the stuff that we had to make for it are so specific and really developed around that. Takes time, and we test everything very, very in depth.
Sometimes it's really annoying.
It's
like, come on, let's get this.
How many times have we gone to dinner and been on the side of the road because we've been testing something new? And
my birthday is notorious for us to
right
and compound kits.
Yep.
But
so.
This is exciting.
But that's why releases are a big deal to us, because we finally got to the point where we're comfortable with releasing the product. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. So. And there's literally every person in this building has a hand in it. We have a whole fab side, which we're going to have to do a video of, like a whole lot.
As I said, the only thing that we don't do in-house is cast. Everything else is done. We even do our own compressor wheels, we do turbo assembly, all that stuff is done in-house. So, you know, turbochargers is something that I've been building for 18 years now. So modifying, and then we finally over the last few years got into doing our own from scratch. So it's a big thing for us, and they're not China. It's not China turbos. They're our turbos. So as I said, we even use casting facilities locally to us in Glassport. So, but yeah, so we're pretty excited about this. All this stuff is up on the site if you're seeing this video. So we do have the compound kit. They do have a build time. So they are obviously everything's handmade and welded. So they do have a build time of, I think we're going to be around 3 weeks right now. 3 to 4 weeks, but that can change, so call.
And we'll adjust on the website too.
Yeah,
if we realize that they're
we're going to adjust accordingly. The Emperor stuff is almost always in stock. Yeah. So if you need replacement turbo or you need change size, some people just want to go bigger. We have those in stock. You can buy the manifold kit without a turbo as well if you want to. So say you want to run an S400 and build your own piping kit. We sell flanges to build your own piping kits. We sell all kinds of stuff to do
And the
that.
turbo we can sell separately.
Yes, turbo. Exactly. Since we do it all in house, we can do that. So so everything here is on the site. We hope you enjoyed the video. If you have questions, you can comment on the video. You can call us, hit us up on social media, email us, any way you want. We'd be more than happy to help you. And I think we're gonna wrap it up. I think we're gonna try to put Amy in more videos because she's a lot prettier than I am. So.
And happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, we're doing this video day before Thanksgiving. So we'll yeah. So we'll catch you on the next one. And thank you.
Thanks.